So, here I am again in my middle of the night sweater because the book was a breeze to read. I just went through it. Just took a couple hours. And there were so many new characters. And I had my spreadsheet out. And I'm like, screw it. I'm not going to keep track of all these new characters. So, welcome to the Daily Reads book series. I'm Christina, K-O-S-T-I-N-A. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy smashy stuff going on here. And today, we are on book 7, The Fugitive Queen, the Ursula Blanchard series. And if you've seen my previous videos, you know that when I did 23, I hated it, and I kept going, but I like this type of book. I like this type of book. I like this period of time. I like my Beatrice Small. If you have not watched my Beatrice Smalls, please go through all my Beatrice Small Sky O'Malley's. Please. They're awesome. They're awesome books. Gotta check them out. So, because I realized halfway through the video that you don't start a series on book 23, you dumb knuckle. So, I went and started book 1. And if you watched my book 1 video, you know that I really had a hard time with it. But now that I'm on book 7, I'm having a better time. I'm having a better time. I'm enjoying the books. I've gotten to know the characters. And it's just Ursula, who is a servant. Well, she's not a servant. She has her own house now. She has a new husband now. She has Fran, or Dale, as she's called. She has Fran is her lady's maid. Broccoli is her manservant. And then she has Meg, her daughter. And has been sent, in the beginning of this book, she sent Penelope. And Penelope is from book 2. We met her family in the Goblet book 2. So I had to go back and refresh my memory about that. And then I was like, I really didn't need to, but I did anyway, so I had to refresh my memory on that one. And her mom, Miss Mason, is sending Penelope to Ursula to please ask the queen if my daughter can be one of the maids or ladies in waiting or whatever you call them for the queen, and maybe she can meet a guy with a little bit of means and money and make a good marriage. Well, the child keeps falling in love with her tutor, and then he's falling in love with this guy, and she's falling in love with all these older gentlemen, and they're all married. And the queen is like, she's got to go. And then the queen's guy, Darnley, says, I've got this piece of land way up north. I've never been there. She can have it as her dowry. So they tell Ursula, take the chick and go. Ursula's husband stays home. What the F? He doesn't go with her. He lets her go off on her own. Yeah, they go with a bunch of William Cecil's men. They take some other people with them. They take all these people with them, but her husband stays home, and he lets her go by herself. And then the very first thing, they have these bandits come upon them with swords, and they kill one of their escorts. And then they kidnap Meg. Come here. Come here. She's been very, very needy today. And she's waiting for mommy to go to bed. She wants to settle down. And like I said, I got up in the middle of the night to do this book report. So come here. What? You gonna run? Come here. Stay here. Hang out with me. So where was I? So they're on the road. And Meg gets kidnapped. And she gets taken off, and they chase after her, and they're trying to find her. And then, like a few hours later, she shows up. They let her go because she was the wrong kid. She wasn't old enough or something. These horrible, nasty people. And in this particular time frame, there weren't any hotels or inns, or, well, there might have been in the more popular places, but in the countryside, when you were traveling, you had to stay at people's houses. And they stayed at all these people's houses that are absolutely filthy, and it's just gross, and it's just, oh, my pal's back. So they do all this traveling, and then it turns out that one of the reasons Elizabeth wanted her to go was that Mary Stuart is being held hostage. The Queen of Scotland is being held hostage. She's suspected of killing her husband, conspiring to kill her husband. And the people of Scotland, they locked her up and she escaped. And now England has got her in this house, and Sir Noel is keeping her. And there's this whole backstory with her. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm almost finished. I promise. Yes, I promise. Almost finished. Let me tell my story. Can I tell my story first? Can I tell my story? So the one story is get Penelope married. The next story is the Queen's kicking her out because she's making her passes at all these married gentlemen. The third story is Queen Mary, or Lady Mary now that she's no longer queen, is being held in this house by Knowles, and he's got control over her. And then, of course, we go to the new house, and our new the steward there that's been holding the house for 10 years for Darnley is a little crooked. You know the old thing where I write down that I paid $10 for this object when really I only paid $5, and I can pocket the $5 and record that I paid $10. And that's what the steward's been doing. And so there's some underhanded stuff going on here. Then the whole neighborhood is poor, but they just learned that there's this rich heiress in town. So everybody brings all their boys tramping through the living room, and some of them are really nasty and low, and So, what's up with you? What? One of my associates has 2 little black kittens she wants me to take. She's threatening to take them to the pound if I don't take them. The guilt is killing me. I don't have a room. I need a room. In the olden days, I'm sorry, this is just on my brain. In the olden days, we had a room, and that was like the nursery. But then once they grew up, they all left and they explored the whole house. And no one ever went back in the nursery. Well, this current generation, 2 of them spend most of their day in the nursery. They spend other time in other rooms too, but their private sanctuary is the nursery. Not her, though. She doesn't go in the nursery at all. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Because the room is, plus it's storage now, and there's so much stuff in there now. I don't want a little kitten in there. But anyways, so we've got all these people trapped in and some of them are Mary loyalists, and there's an underhanded plot going on to rescue Mary and take her back to Scotland. And there's stuff going on there. There's kidnappings. There's one person gets murdered unnecessarily. I think it was unnecessarily. It wasn't really, I wouldn't call it plot purposes. I mean, I guess it might have been. But that kind of bothered me. And it bothered Ursula too. Because it was a young kid that got murdered. And I think that was totally, absolutely 100% unnecessary. But, so there's there's so many characters, so many new characters to keep track of. And then I'm like, you know what? I just need my core, my Berkeley, my Dale, Sir Noli, the Queen, and then you had the bad guys, and then you had the suitors, and they had Clem, And, I still wonder, she's gone all this time, and yet her husband doesn't write, gets no letters. She's sending no letters either. She's so busy with all this stuff going on. I don't know. But the books are getting better. They are getting better, and I'm reading them faster. And I'm looking forward to book 8. So there we go. Those are your 2 books. And we'll have to check it out. Oh, come back here. I'm going to have to chase her around the house now to get her. But there is your the fugitive queen, which is obviously Mary. And we'll give you a little spoiler here. This sets the book up. Just a little. But it is true that, here's the author's note at the beginning of the book, which I thought was odd because usually the author's note's in the back of the book, but this particular author's note is in the beginning. It is true that during Mary Stuart's short day at Carlisle, when she first arrived in England, she was allowed out at least one hawking expedition. As far as I know, however, there is no record that when she was at Bolton, Sir Francis Knowley ever permitted such a thing. The English government was far too afraid of Mary escaping to France and coming back with an army. However, if by any chance he did relax his restrictions, perhaps through anxiety about Mary's health, and something went wrong, he might have kept quiet about it. I have let him do just that. This is fiction after all. It is also true that Mary Stuart suffered from unexplained bouts of illness, often involving a mysterious pain in the side, likely to occur when she was emotionally upset. It is now believed that she suffered from an inherited disease called porphyria, which produces symptoms of this kind. So, Mary is also accused, did I mention, of killing her husband through nefarious means. Going, it would be nice if I could get rid of my husband in a way that wouldn't harm my thrownness. And one of her advisors took her literally and did it. They could have set him up for stuff, but they didn't. And but all the letters, the books start with letters. Letter from Mistress Anne Mason of Lockhill in Berkshire to Mistress Ursula Stannard of with Y. Sham in Sussex. Madam, I pray that you'll forgive me for the liberty I take in writing to you. Oh, this book is 3 years after. I think the last one was 1565, and this one is 1568. So 3 years have passed between books. We last met under unhappy circumstances, but all that is in the past, as I well know that you did not wish to harm my family, nor did you do so. So you unmasked villainy which we were harboring unawares. Since then, my life has changed greatly. With the death of my dear husband, Master Leonard Mason, I am left with the care of Lockhill and my children. And her sons Philip and George are grown and stuff like that. So, to find out if Ursula is able to solve this little mystery of why Penelope was kidnapped, what happens with Mary, and what are the little surprises going on in the estate that Ursula doesn't know about? How do they fix the steward who is helping himself to the funds? And what elite plot is going on at the end of the book to free Mary? There's a lot of treason in this book. There's a whole lot of treason in this book. So I hope you will join me for the next book. And, these are growing on me. It's growing on me a little bit. So we'll have to look for this one in a couple of days. I've got to do some Catherine Coulter, though. I've got to get that out. Oh, no, I've got another book that just came by. So we'll see what happens. Have a good one.